Hello, here we are, video 3 in our training series. A little recap. We started with grounding and asking your energy to come back through the gold sun. That is connecting yourself and grounding yourself and centering yourself so that you can come from a place that's a bit more authentic. Second time, you discovered the power of being in the center of your head. Now that's a tough one because that is your control of your life, basically. That's who's in the driver's seat of what's happening around you. And so that is a tough one, and that sometimes takes a lot longer. So I really have to admire you for sticking with it and not giving up, and just keep practicing and practicing, and know that I'm always here to help. Okay? I'm here to support you, because having yourself running your show from a place that is true for you is better than anything that you've ever had before. So please keep it up. We also use the 3 gold balls on the top of our heads to access energy and information, that's coming to us through the top of our heads, in through our information center. Those gold balls that you stack on top will help filter what is not appropriate for you. Now, one thing that I did not mention in that last call was that sometimes if you are in a class and you are supposed to be learning new information, you actually have to take it in. But I want you to be aware of how you feel. I have been in classes that my head hurts. I'm getting a headache because what I'm hearing, I know isn't true. It doesn't mean it's not true for some people. It's just not true for me and in my life and in how I'm working. So be aware of how you react when information is coming to you. And know that if you are, like I said, in a training situation where you're in a CE and you're getting this information from an authority, take it in, notice what does and doesn't resonate with you, and then you've got your resources to clear it out using your grounding cord and your gold sun to clear it out of you so that you have your stuff. It's just awesome to be able to recognize that, because we get headaches for more reason than one. So today I'm really excited to share with you those ideas about how to handle drama in your office. Often there's drama between team members or between patients. And the drama between patients is more like, they're scared so they don't talk to you, or they're just kind of nasty. And it makes it difficult for us to work well. Some of you may have already heard my stories about just shifting the energy by how you think. One of the coaches that I've worked with has talked about these things like filters. What you expect to happen often does. And it's kind of, you're pre-paving the way and you're clearing the energy charge. So some of the simple things are just changing how you think about that person. And 2 examples that I have are, one is Barbara. Barbara's the type of person who comes into the office and, doesn't want her papers stapled, sits on the edge of her chair, ready to go, making sure that you know how busy she is to make time for you today. And she doesn't have a lot to deal with, but you better do it her way. You better clean her teeth without the Cavitron, no suction, one tissue, don't lay me back. All right, let's go. So the one day she was coming in, and I had just made a decision just not to talk to her. I have a real hard time with not talking to my patients. I like them, right? Or at least I like communicating with people. So I should say, yeah, not all my patients, right? But I'm getting there, right? Because I'm clearing the energy charges between them. But I digress. So what do I hear? What's my guidance? I say, how can today be easy? How can today be easy with Barbara? So as I'm walking out to the front to get her, the thought comes to me, she's only human. In other words, she wants what you want, Sally. She wants to be understood. She wants to be respected in her space. And so that shifted when I brought her back. I still didn't talk to her much because I had made the decision that I really was better off not speaking a lot. Sat her in the chair, did as advised on my notes, so I knew not to, ruffle feathers. I did my best with that. And as I was working, she looked up at me and she said, "My goodness, your arm must get very tired." Well, that blew me away right there because she had never considered me in this whole thing, right? And she's a violin teacher, so she too has that problem. So I could give that back to her. I said, yes, I'm used to it. My muscles have kind of adapted, and you do the same thing as a violinist you're holding, right? And she was more worried about my static arm than my moving arm. And she said, yeah, but I can move. You're there. And so she gave it back to me. And that has shifted our communication throughout our time together. And I can happily say, we now even joke. On a kind of odd kind of way, but she and I get it. So that's one thing. And another one is, how can it be different? So in the past, I might say, how can it be easy? You can also use, how can this be different? So, when you're looking at the charts in the morning, you just want to look at the person that goes, and you will say, how can this person be different? Or how can the situation around this person be different? So I have Michael, and Michael is a tightly wound guy. We get a lot of those here in the DC area. And so he's tightly wound, always in a suit, and it's almost like we're not on the same page when we're talking. And I wanted this appointment to be different. And so when I walked out to get him and bring him back, I was curious how it was going to be different. And imagine my shock when I called his name and this comfortable looking man in a red sweater and jeans smiled at me. How can it be different, right? And ever since that, we've had a great time together. He's opened up about his favorite thing, his dog. So now we have something to talk about besides his teeth, which is nice. So those are two ideas. How can it be easy and how can it be different? And just be curious, because that's the best emotion. Another way, and we're talking about energetic tools besides just verbiage and head games, we're going to look at a tool that is lovingly called the mock-up. Now, the mock-up is a tool. I'm sorry, my hair is just bugging me like crazy. Sorry about this. The mock-up is a tool that's used it's kind of a match. So there are two reasons that people really can aggravate us. And one is it's a match with something in us that needs to be cleared, or something in us that we're not huge fans of. So if there's somebody that always pushes your buttons, then this is the perfect tool for that. So let's take a moment here and ground ourselves. Cord all the way down to the center of the earth. And take your time with this. You can pause this anytime you'd like, but I'm just going to go ahead for ease. And notice your grounding cord today, and notice if it's easy to go down or maybe not. Maybe it goes straight down. Maybe it's got some curly cues. Maybe you get a color this time, or notice that the earth feels differently. And your goal is always to go straight down, straight to the center of the earth. We're going to put up our gold sun. And let that energy of the gold sun shine down on you. And let it bring your energy that you've shared with others back through it, all purified and ready for you. And let it just shine down. And notice the areas that you accepted in your body and where it's a little more difficult to take in. Just notice how you feel when you're grounded and you have your energy back. And then if it's available to you, check in with your gold ball in the center of your head. Your gold ball can be bouncing around. It can be to the front, to the back. You may not even see it yet. Know it's there. It's like the ocean. It's there. Maybe the fog is keeping you from seeing it early in the morning, but there's no doubt that it's there. So just keep being curious about how can it be easy to access the gold ball in the center of my head. And what do I need to clear to access the gold ball in the center of my head? So those are some ways to look at it and be curious. You're allowing, you're not forcing or striving or working towards something. This is just no time frame. Suzanne, one of my coaches, used to say, you have all the time in the world in the next 5 minutes. So there you have your gold ball in the center of your head. What would it feel like if I could see my gold ball? And invite your gold ball to expand and to shrink back down. And as you know, we'll practice this more during your practice call later this week. And access your information. Put your 3 gold balls on the top of your head to the best of your ability today. However it's available to you today. No pressure. and invite that information that's yours to come through those filters, so that your information, what's appropriate for you, comes in. And now we've touched a little on the roses, and roses are just something that's a neutral symbol. I mean, usually has a kind of an upbeat, but not a lot of baggage attached to it. But anything else that comes to mind, you can put there. If you really like a certain kind of bird, you can use them as your separation, or what you explode, or whatever. But the roses, you've used those to explode, and now we're going to use them as a protection. So I'm putting roses in between me and somebody that comes to mind. Now, I would like you, when I started talking about office drama or people drama or home drama, who was the person that came to mind the most? And it could be somebody that you see on a regular basis. It could be somebody that's already passed. It can be somebody that you have met occasionally, but there's still something about them that bugs you and stays with you. Okay? So what I'm going to ask you to do is just put those roses up. Put that person's image in your mind's eye up. Just imagine, pretend, become aware that they're standing right there on the other side of those roses. And now notice, think about them and how you react to them. And notice where you feel that in your body and what it feels like. By now you've noticed how your body feels and reacts to certain things. You've felt yourself get grounded and feel heavy or more clear and focused. Maybe even a little bit feeling lighter, even though you're feeling solid, you feel lighter. And you felt your energy come back to you. Even if it's a tingle. And it can even just be a color. You don't have to feel things. You can see a color. You can hear something. There are ways to access that inner knowing that we all have. And one of them is easier than others for you. So notice where that person reacts in your body. It's the charge. It's the electrical charge, the magnet charge. And so I'd like you to look at what they did that really set you off and have them be standing there and be aware that they really ticked you off. And notice where it is in your body. And sometimes that action that really ticked you off is something that you actually do unconsciously. But even if that's not the case, that's how we're going to follow along this. But even if that's not the case, you'll just be with that charge feeling, and just watch what happens. And I'll kind of tie back and forth. So you're going to notice the energy in your body in reaction to their being there. And think of a magnet that's drawing more of the like, more of the same to you until the charge in your body dissipates or goes away. So allow them to do what they do. And you're just going to watch them with these roses in between you. And you can make as many of them as you want. You can make a rose tree if you need it. You can make a rose hedge. You can do whatever you feel need to do. You can add a gold waterfall if you really need some separation. And just But I want you to be watching them and being with your body and your reaction to what you're seeing and feeling, okay? And so notice them, being them, or doing that thing that really drives you bonkers. And notice how you're responding to it. You may feel your face even respond. You may feel like you're getting stabbed in the back. You may feel a heaviness in your body. You may even feel like crinkly. You may see a color. You may actually see a knife stabbing you in the back. You may hear a dissonant sound. And just notice how you react to that dissonant sound. And you just may know. Ah, yes. I remember the time I acted like that. My mom got really mad and punished me. Or whatever comes up. It's what keeps that type of person showing up often in your life. Or that same person doing the same thing over and over and over again. And they're doing it for you. They're doing it so you're given the opportunity to clear that energy so you never have to deal with it again. This works great for problem children. That's a wrong verbiage. Children that, the ones, I remember my two daughters, the one that was most like me was the one that used to really push my buttons. The other one I was like, oh yeah, let her go. And my husband was like, oh my gosh. It's really funny how that works, right? And then when you're all done, and this may take some time, and it may take several visits, but be with it as long as you can to let it clear as best you can. You want to thank the person for showing up. Explode those roses that were separating you. And thank yourself for taking the time and having the ability and the stamina and the stick-to-itiveness and the drive to become more of the real you. And take a deep breath. And I thank you for showing up today and trying this. And I invite you to notice how that person reacts. I've had coworkers who have totally focused on something else. I've had clients have amazing experiences with their boss, getting raises, wanting to get out of a job, like an assignment, a project, and having a conversation and clearing that energy between the two of them. And then going into their meeting the next morning, and instead of the boss going, okay, this is the date you start that project, the boss saying, Would you mind if I took you off that project? How can it be any easier? Best to you now. Thanks. Ask any questions that you might have. Just email me, and I will see you later this week. Bye now.